Before we begin tonight's story, let's slow down for a moment. Tell me, where are you right now, and what time is it there? I want you to notice the silence around you, the hum of your room, the rhythm of your own breathing. The pyramids have stood for thousands of years in silence just like this, watching civilizations rise and fall. Their stones do not rush, their secrets do not hurry, and yet once in a while, at the quietest hour, it feels as though they are waiting for us to listen. Chapter 1. The Stone That Shouldn't Exist. What if the pyramids of Egypt were never tombs at all? What if the structures we've been told for centuries were mere funerary monuments are in fact something else entirely, machines, libraries, or even warnings encoded in stone? To begin, consider the sheer impossibility of the Great Pyramid of Giza itself. We're told it was built around 4,500 years ago, during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu, with nothing more than copper chisels, ropes, sleds and manpower. But let's talk numbers. The pyramid contains 2.3 million limestone and granite blocks, each weighing between 2.5 and 80 tons. If the Egyptians somehow placed one block every 2 minutes, working non-stop 24 hours a day, it would still take over 40 years to finish, longer than Khufu even reigned. Modern engineers admit that we would struggle to replicate it today with cranes, diamond saws and GPS alignment, let alone in 2500 BC. Then there's the alignment issue. The Great Pyramid is aligned to true north with an accuracy of 1/15 of a degree, something no modern skyscraper has achieved without satellite calibration. The base is nearly a perfect square, with a variance of less than 2 centimeters over 13 acres. This isn't the sloppy work of copper chisels, it's precision engineering. But here's where the story gets more disturbing. Granite inside the king's chamber has been tested with sonic resonance equipment, and researchers have found that the blocks actually ring at specific frequencies when struck, like parts of a vast instrument. Why would a tomb be designed to vibrate at acoustic frequencies, when struck, like parts of a vast instrument? Why would a tomb be designed to vibrate at acoustic frequencies? Some believe the pyramid was not a tomb at all, but a giant resonating energy device, one capable of channeling Earth's natural electromagnetic field. In fact, recent studies show that the pyramid's shape can naturally concentrate electromagnetic energy in its chambers and beneath its base. That's not symbolism, that's physics. If that's true, then it changes everything. The pyramids may have been functioning power stations, or worse, communication devices, built not for the dead, but for the living, or for someone else. Ancient historians like Herodotus claimed that knowledge of pyramid construction came from priests who guarded secrets of the gods. Could that phrase mean the Egyptians were inheriting instructions from a civilization far older, one erased from the historical record? Even more unsettling is that the pyramids may not be unique. Across the world, from Teotihuacan in Mexico to Gunung Padang in Indonesia, pyramidal structures emerge, aligned to solstices and star systems with eerie precision. How is it possible that cultures separated by oceans and thousands of years developed the same blueprint for massive pyramids? Unless, of course, they were following the same plan, one passed down through survivors of a forgotten age, or a group that was never human to begin with. If the pyramids were never tombs, then what were they? If they were machines, then who switched them off? And if they were warnings, then what catastrophe were they warning us about? These questions strike at the very foundation of history, archaeology, and even the origin of civilization itself. Because if the pyramids are machines, then human history isn't thousands of years old, it might be hundreds of thousands. Chapter 2. Stargates in Stone. Now imagine this. The pyramids weren't built to honor death, but to manipulate the sky itself. For centuries, Egyptologists dismissed the strange shafts carved into the Great Pyramid's chambers as ventilation tunnels. Yet these so-called vents align perfectly, not randomly, with key stars. One shaft points directly to Orion's belt, the constellation associated with Osiris, god of resurrection. Another aligns with Sirius, the star linked to Isis, mother of Horus. But here's the shocking part. When modeled backward through astronomical software, these shafts don't align with Orion and Sirius today, they align with their positions 12,500 years ago. That's around the end of the last ice age, a time when cataclysmic floods and volcanic eruptions were reshaping the planet. Could it be that the pyramids are not 4,500 years old, but at least twice as old, survivors of an earlier epoch, built by a civilization erased by catastrophe? Mainstream science scoffs, but recent evidence supports it. Geological studies of the Sphinx show water erosion deep in its body, weathering that could only come from centuries of torrential rainfall. But Egypt hasn't seen such rains in over 10,000 years. That places construction not in the Bronze Age, but in the Pleistocene. If true, then the pyramids may be relics from a civilization advanced enough to survive cataclysm, encode their knowledge into stone, and aim it directly at the stars as a message to the future. But a message of what? Think about this, the pyramid's dimensions encode Earth's measurements. The height multiplied by 1,000,000,000 gives you the distance from Earth to the Sun. The perimeter divided by twice its height yields pi with uncanny precision. The ratio of the pyramid's base to its height equals phi, the golden ratio. This is not accidental. This is a monument that encodes mathematics, astronomy, and geodesy at a level that shouldn't exist for Bronze Age farmers. Which raises the chilling question, who or what were the builders communicating with? Ancient texts speak of gods descending from the heavens, of ships of the sky landing in the deserts, of beings that demanded offerings but also gave knowledge. Could the pyramids have been stargates, not in the sci-fi sense of glowing portals, but as giant transmitters, focusing Earth's natural resonance into beams of information directed at specific stars? In 2018, scientists using cosmic ray imaging discovered a hidden void inside the Great Pyramid, an unexplained cavity the size of a jet airliner positioned above the Grand Gallery. No one knows what it contains. Is it a chamber, a machine, or something waiting to be activated again? If the pyramids are transmitters, then they might not be dormant at all. They might be waiting for the right alignment, the right solar storm, or the right human hands to turn them back on. And if that happens, what then? Communication with another world? A sudden surge of energy that reshapes our civilization overnight? Or the opening of something much darker? A system designed not to protect us, but to summon forces long buried in our myths. If the pyramid's secrets were revealed in our lifetime, it wouldn't just rewrite history books, it could destabilize religion, government, and science all at once, because then we'd know the unthinkable truth, that the pyramids were never ours to begin with, they were built for something else. And if that's true, then the question isn't whether they'll change everything we know, it's whether we'll survive what they were meant to unleash. Chapter 3. The Machine That Sleeps. What if the Great Pyramid isn't just an ancient ruin, but a dormant machine waiting for the right moment to awaken? For decades, fringe researchers and mainstream scientists alike have debated the purpose of the so-called Queen's Chamber, an empty stone room with strange salt deposits on its walls. Egyptologists dismiss it as an unfinished burial chamber, but new studies suggest otherwise. The crystalline salts could be residue from chemical reactions, hinting that the chamber once housed liquids or gases as part of a larger process. In 1993, tiny robotic cameras were sent up the ventilation shafts leading from this chamber, only to find sealed stone doors with copper fittings. Doors that led nowhere, at least according to official reports. But copper isn't decorative. Copper is conductive. It carries electrical currents. And when combined with limestone, granite, and underground water channels, which all exist beneath the Giza plateau, you don't have a tomb, you have the components of a hydraulic power generator. The Great Pyramid sits directly on top of natural aquifers. Water flowing beneath it could have created vibration, resonance, and piezoelectric effects in the quartz-rich granite. In essence, the pyramid may have harnessed Earth itself as a battery. This isn't science fiction, it's science we're only beginning to understand. In 2018, researchers at ITMO University in Russia demonstrated that the pyramid's shape naturally focuses electromagnetic energy into its internal chambers and below its base. So if modern experiments confirm that the pyramid acts like a resonator, then what were the ancient builders using it for? To power their civilization, to communicate with the stars, or something even stranger, to alter consciousness itself? Ancient Egyptian texts describe the pyramid as a place where the pharaoh underwent a transformation, ascending to join the gods. Could this be literal? Was the pyramid designed as a consciousness amplifier, where sound, light, and vibration elevated the mind to states we'd now call interdimensional? If so, the Great Pyramid wasn't just an energy plant, it was a machine for awakening. And here's the terrifying part. What if it's still functional, simply waiting for the right geological or astronomical alignment to reactivate? Imagine a sudden surge of energy from the Earth's shifting magnetic field, or a massive solar flare triggering the pyramid's dormant systems. Would it unleash free energy for humanity, or open a signal channel to intelligences we've forgotten, or perhaps deliberately buried? Governments know something they aren't telling us. The 2018 muon scan that discovered the hidden void has been strangely quiet in updates. Why? Because whatever is in that chamber could prove once and for all that the pyramids are not inert stone piles, but precision-engineered systems. Systems built not for the dead, but for the living, or for forces far beyond us. And if that machine turns on again, we may not be ready for what it does. Chapter 4. The Code of the Ancients. But here's where the story plunges into something even more disturbing. The Great Pyramid doesn't just encode mathematics, it encodes time itself. In the 19th century, researchers noted that the pyramid's internal passageways seemed to map historical events when measured in pyramid inches, 1/25th of an inch. While mainstream science rejects this as coincidence, the correlations are staggering. The descending passage marks a point around 2141 BC, coinciding with Egypt's first intermediate period, a time of chaos and collapse. The ascending passage lines up with 1453 BC, the fall of powerful empires across the Mediterranean, and the so-called Grand Gallery leads straight toward a chamber marking the years 1914-1945, the era of the World Wars. These aren't random numbers, they're carved into stone with terrifying accuracy, as if the pyramid isn't just a machine, but a chronometer of civilizations. Could it be that the builders encoded a warning about cyclical destruction, a cosmic clock counting down to our next collapse? And if so, what date comes next? Researchers who've studied the alignments say the passages don't stop in the 20th century, they extend further, pointing toward a moment in the 21st century when a great turning point in human history occurs. Some place it around 2030, others slightly beyond, but all agree on one thing: the pyramid's code suggests a coming transformation unlike anything before. But here's where it gets even stranger. The Great Pyramid isn't alone in this. The layout of the three pyramids of Giza aligns not just with Orion's belt, but also with the precession of the equinoxes, a 26,000-year cycle that tracks Earth's wobble through the stars. It's as if the builders wanted us to understand that civilizations rise and fall in cosmic rhythms, tied not to human politics but to galactic cycles. And now we are approaching the same alignment they marked over 12,500 years ago, the very period when ancient myths say a flood destroyed a world-spanning civilization. Could it be that the pyramids were left as a survival manual, a code carved in stone to tell us when the next catastrophe would strike? If that's true, then every alignment, every ratio, every ventilation shaft was never symbolic, it was data, a data archive encoded in stone, so it could outlast fire, flood, and collapse. And now, as climate shifts accelerate, solar storms intensify, and magnetic anomalies ripple across Earth, it's as if the pyramid is whispering to us from the past: you've been here before, you will be here again, prepare. If humanity ignores this warning, the consequences may not be just a loss of knowledge, they may be extinction itself. And if the pyramids are clocks, then maybe they're also countdowns, and countdowns always end the same way. Chapter 5: The Forbidden Chamber. For centuries, whispers have persisted that beneath the Giza plateau lies something far greater than the pyramids themselves, a network of hidden chambers and tunnels that connect to a so-called Hall of Records, a mythical archive said to contain the lost history of mankind. Egyptologists scoff at this, dismissing it as fringe fantasy, but the evidence refuses to disappear. In 1997, seismic surveys conducted by a joint Egyptian-American team revealed large cavities beneath the Sphinx, particularly under its right paw. Researchers announced the discovery of anomalous voids that could only be explained as man-made structures, yet, almost immediately, access was denied. The Egyptian government restricted further exploration, citing preservation concerns. Since then, rumors have swirled of sealed doors, unexplored shafts, and chambers filled with artifacts that could destroy the official timeline of history. And here's where things grow darker. According to leaked reports, some of these chambers resonate at specific frequencies, much like the pyramid's granite chambers, suggesting they were designed not just as storage vaults, but as part of a larger system, an interconnected network of energy and information. Think about what that implies. If the pyramids are machines, and if the hidden chambers are repositories, then we may be staring at the remnants of an ancient global power grid, one that stretched from Egypt to South America to Asia. Look at the similarities. The pyramids of Giza mirror the pyramids of Teotihuacan, which mirror the stepped temples of Angkor, which mirror the megaliths of Gunung Padang, and each sits on geomagnetic anomalies, energy hotspots the ancients somehow understood and harnessed. This isn't coincidence, it's design. But the Hall of Records, if it exists, may contain something more terrifying than forgotten maps and scrolls. It may contain instructions for activating the pyramids, instructions for surviving catastrophes, instructions perhaps not meant for us, but for those who came before or those who will come after. And here's the question no one dares ask aloud: what if governments already know this? What if archaeologists, under orders of silence, have found fragments of this archive, enough to piece together technologies we believe we've only recently invented? Free energy, advanced metallurgy, even forms of communication that blur the line between matter and mind. The pyramid, then, isn't just a monument, it's a warning beacon, a machine left in plain sight, its secrets buried just deep enough to survive floods, wars, and rewritings of history. If the truth is ever revealed, it won't just change how we see the past, it will force us to confront a terrifying possibility, that we've been living in a cycle of rise and collapse for tens of thousands of years, with each civilization inheriting fragments of knowledge left behind. The pyramids may be the survivor's message, carved in indestructible stone. And now, as the world teeters once again on the edge, climate shifts, wars, collapsing systems, the question is simple: are we listening, or are we destined to ignore the warning, just as those before us did? Because if the Hall of Records is ever opened, the secrets inside may not just enlighten us, they may break us. So here we are, staring at the pyramids, not as tombs, but as machines, codes and warnings, monuments so advanced that even in our modern age, we can only guess at their true function. Were they power stations, stargates, chronometers mapping the rise and fall of civilizations? Or were they simply messages, left for us in a language we've only begun to decipher? One thing is clear: if the pyramid's secrets were ever fully revealed, they would rewrite every page of human history. Our textbooks, our religions, our governments, they would all collapse under the weight of a truth carved in stone thousands of years ago. And maybe that's why the chambers remain sealed, why the hidden voids remain unentered, why the questions are never answered, because perhaps the truth isn't just extraordinary, it's dangerous. The pyramids may not belong to the past at all, they may belong to the future, and the future, when it arrives, might not be kind.